Following on from my book reviews I've done 3 now, hopefully do some more in the future. Dan Simmons' Hyperion, and his Endymion books. I've also done The Chronicles of Amber, and I did do one more. I'm trying to remember what it's. Michael Moorcock, Warrior of Mars. In America, it's also known as Cain of Mars. It's 3 books in one. But this time I've decided to do DVD series from quite a while back here in the UK called Sapphire Steel. Now I'm sure quite a lot of people have heard about this. It's been around quite some time now. There's only 6 adventures, or 6 episodes if you like, that are available that they ever did, as far as I'm aware. And I've been into this for quite some time. So have my parents. I mean, I used to see it when I was much younger with them. So I'll sort of explain a little bit of what it is. So Sapphire Steel, I've got notes here I'm going to quickly refer to. I'll pop that there. I don't know if you're going to see that behind me, but you never know. This is a series of a pair of interdimensional operatives named Sapphire and Steel, who are essentially elements. Might tap into that a little bit later, but very little's ever known about them. So although you see them and when you first come across them, it's all a bit of a mystery. And they're basically, the description is they are 2 elements that assume human form and are sent to investigate mysterious events or things that have happened involving time. And the way they describe time in this is time as a corridor. And there are holes and gaps in this corridor, where time and other things can come through. And when that happens, Sapphire and Steel are assigned to go and sort of figure it out, what's going on, how to solve it, etc. And each episode starts with both Sapphire and Steel either showing up, they show up, you know, it's just sort of, they're not there and then they just appear when an episode starts. Or an episode, there has been, I think there is 1 or 2 episodes, I'm not sure because I've not seen some of them for a while, I've only seen a couple recently, where they're already there, and you're introduced. So they show up almost out of nowhere, and they sort of investigate these various going-ons, and there's usually human beings involved, but they're usually very interested in the environment, things placed around. There's a few really interesting ones. There's one that's based, the first episode's in a house, a really big house on a small island. You have one that's based in like an antiques type shop, with photographs. That's a really interesting one. There's one that's set in a little petrol service station. There's one that's a train station, if I didn't just mention that. Anyway, and so on and so forth. It's yeah, as I mentioned before, not a lot of information is given to either Sapphire and Steel. There are a couple of other elements you come across in some of the series and some of the episodes, but they're not usually a major role. They're usually support characters. In fact, there's only 2 that I'm aware of. I think others are named, but you only really see 2. And a lot of it's like that. A lot of it's very cryptic, and it's very eerie. And they talk about certain aspects of where they're from, without actually going into detail where they're from or who sent them, etc. And although it's very science fiction-y, it's more like a ghost story. They're more like ghost stories the way it's set. And I think you'd have to watch them to see what I mean about that. And I don't want to go into too many details because, again, like everything else, you don't want to spoil it for people that haven't seen it. And I'm assuming if you manage to find this video somewhere on YouTube, and I'm assuming there's going to be a whole list reviewing this series on there, because I can imagine it being very popular. So if you manage to see this, I'm sure it's piqued your interest, and you go, oh, you know, I want to know more about those series. I'm thinking about buying the DVDs or watching them online, etc. I'll find a bit more about it yourself, or you know how the process works. Anyway, so Sapphire and Steel themselves have special abilities, and I'm assuming you don't see all of them. I'm assuming they've kept some of that hidden in case further on down the line they wanted to do more with it. And I think it'd be fantastic if they remade these series now on the BBC, or, you know, I think it would get a lot of attention and it'd be very popular. And it'd be great. I mean, you can just imagine certain British actors being cast in these roles again. But we won't go into that. That's all speculation. It might not ever happen. Actually, I think they've done a couple of audio episodes with more up-to-date characters on the radio. You might have to look into that. I think Mark Gatiss' name was linked to it somewhere, and if you don't know who Mark Gatiss is, from the League of Gentlemen and Sherlock, one of the writers on Sherlock, amongst other things on there. Yeah, so it might be worth looking into that. Maybe I should have looked into that before I did this review. But I was more interested in the original series, to be honest. And anyway, back to their abilities. Sapphire, she can touch objects and know the history of the object, what it's made from, when it was made, what's happened to it. She can also very slightly influence time, like a very tiny amount, as if to rewind. Something's happened, an event's happened in a space, they know something's happened in an area, and she's briefly rewound time around that area just so that it comes back and they get an image of what happened. But it's very slight. She doesn't have the power to completely control time. It's just these really minute power to help look at snippets of what's happened and make the story go further along. There's a couple of other really smaller powers in there. They're both able to communicate telepathically with their minds to each other, Sapphire and Steel, and some of the other agents when you see them, elements, which was quite cool. The way it's shot and the things that they've done are really... the situations they put them in are really interesting, and the story, the way it plays, is really interesting. And I think a lot of people would find it a bit dated now, and I think they used some theatre actors, because not all the acting of the other cast, the support actors, is that amazing, but Joanna Lumley and McCallum, they play the characters really well. Steel is very strong. He almost appears invulnerable. You don't see him touching people very often. He can control small metal things. He's very logical, able to manipulate, as I said, little bits of metal. And he's very straight-faced. He's very hard, and when he communicates to human people, he's very no, and it's that's a very strange sound, isn't it? No. He's Batman. No, he's not a people person. He's not very good at communicating with people. And Sapphire is the opposite to him. She's very gentle. She's very good with people. And the contrast works really well. And I don't know if you can hear that in the background. I actually have the DVD playing. Let me grab the DVD quickly. This is it might have changed the way the DVDs are now and the sets and the way you can pick them up. We've had these quite a few years now. I've had these quite a few years now. Pardon me. And they come in 2 boxes, 3 episodes each. The first one's blue, and this is the second one. The second one's green. And you get 3, as I mentioned, you get 3 episodes, which are sort of called adventures on here. So we see them as adventures. And I recommend this to people who don't mind. It could be of any ages, because people I know my age, younger and older, love this kind of thing. So if you're into maybe not so much science fiction, but you like the sort of mystery, thriller / ghost type things, this is really good, because although there is science fiction in it, it's not very much at all, really, when you think about it, when you see it. And I really think it's something worth watching if, if you like either of these actors, but you just want something a bit different, and you're quite happy to sit down and go through these. The episodes on this DVD, you put a disc in, and yeah, it's an adventure. So you put the class as adventure, so you put the disc in, and I think it's got sort of like 4 little things to click on, so we'll call those episodes just for the sake of it. And they're about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. So you get a bit of time. It's not just like there's 6 episodes. There's 6 adventures, and there's, so they cover a lot of ground within those adventures. Yes, to round it up, a great series, worth going back and watching, worth getting on DVD. I'm assuming the DVDs are probably quite expensive. It's probably not easy to get hold of. I don't know how easy they are to get hold of in America, but certainly in the UK you can get hold of them. Yes, so that's Sapphire Steel.